Welcome to our monthly professional development webinar. This month's topic covers staff qualifications. My name is Diana Stokes, and I am the Staff Qualifications Coordinator at DCYF. This webinar was originally hosted live on September 21st, 2022. This webinar will cover an overview of staff qualifications, pathways to meet your job role education requirement, including education, training, and experience, and discuss how this connects to the merit dashboard. First, let's talk about what it means to meet staff qualifications. Staff qualifications is more than just education. When we talk about licensing staff qualifications, we are talking about the hiring education, pre-service requirements, any training that needs to be completed upon hire and ongoing in-service training, and the education needed for your job role. Let's take a quick look at what the age and hiring requirements are family, home, and center roles. These are the hiring requirements for those working in family home programs. As you can see, there are minimum age and education requirements for each role. Most roles need a high school diploma or an equivalent, such as a GED, to get started. And we'll cover equivalents more in depth later on. These are the hiring requirements for those working in center programs. As you can see, there are education and minimum age requirements for these roles as well. The teaching staff need a high school diploma or an equivalent for their role. The leadership roles, which include center director, assistant director, and program supervisor, need ECE credits based on the license capacity of the facility. Only one of these roles must meet the hiring education requirement. For example, if your center director has 50 ECE credits, they could hire a new assistant director who did not have the required 45 ECE credits yet. This individual, the assistant director, would continue working towards their job role education requirement. Next, we're going to look at what the job role education requirements are for each role. Once someone has met their hiring education, they will need to begin working on their job role education. This education needs to be completed within 5 years for most roles. A family home licensee would need to earn the Washington State ECE initial certificate, which is 12 credits within 5 years. Once they have completed that, they would go on to earning the Washington State ECE short certificate, which would be an additional 8 credits. The short certificate would need to be completed within 2 years of completing the initial certificate. Lead teachers and assistant teachers would need to earn the Washington State ECE initial certificate within 5 years of hire or promotion. An aide does not have a job role education requirement, as they are required to have a high school diploma for hiring purposes. Like family home staff, once someone has met their hiring education, they will need to begin working on their job role education within a center. This education needs to be completed within 5 years for most roles. Center directors, assistant directors, and program supervisors would need to earn the Washington State ECE state certificate within 5 years of hire or promotion. A lead teacher would need to earn the Washington State ECE initial certificate, which is 12 credits within 5 years. Once they have completed that, they would go on to earning the Washington State ECE short certificate, which would be an additional 8 credits. The short certificate would need to be completed within 2 years of completing the initial certificate. Assistant teachers would need to earn the Washington State ECE initial certificate within 5 years of hire or promotion. An aide does not have a job role education requirement, as they need to have met the high school diploma with their hiring education. I do want to call out that when someone's employment changes, it does not mean that their timeline starts over. If I go from a lead teacher in one program to a lead teacher in another program, my timeline stays the same and continues. But if I go from an assistant teacher to a lead teacher, for example, whether it's in the same facility or a new facility, my timeline starts over, as I'm now in a new role that has a different education requirement. Moving forward, we will be talking about how the merit dashboard fits into the education requirements. This slide shows a quick look at what the full dashboard looks like. Let's dive in and see how this process works in merit. If you have completed any education, you will need to complete an education application. Once you have completed the education application in merit, you will need to submit a copy of your official transcript for review. Your education will be recorded in merit once the application has been processed. Please note that it can take up to 45 days to process the education application once all documents have been received. Then, once you have submitted an education application, step 2 is to make a plan. Part of this step is selecting the pathway you will use to meet your education qualification. Keep in mind that not all options are available for all roles. Some scenarios may be, you may have completed your Ece Specific Education, whether it's a stackable certificate or an AA or BA, or you may have completed an other degree major or have another credential like a CDA or Montessori certificate. Or you might want to choose the experience-based competency option. Or you may want to meet your qualification by completing PACE. As you can see, there are many options or pathways to meet your education requirement. You will get to opt in to what you want to do. The next step is to make the plan and tell DCYF. Everyone will complete their plan in merit by using their merit dashboard. This is a great tool to keep track of your progress, show licensors and facilities that the qualification has been met or is in progress, and it also tells DCYF information. The dashboard helps us, DCYF, know what resources are needed in the community, such as expanding access to PACE or scholarships. It also provides us information on what pathways people are interested in, so that way we can help better plan and provide the resources needed. Are you not sure what option to choose? There's so many options to choose from to meet your job role education. The next slides will cover who's eligible for each option, how to select each option on your dashboard in merit, and any important information you need to know before making your choice. As we learn about the various pathways, we will also cover how someone updates their dashboard. As we get started, please keep in mind that someone would need to be in an early learning licensed role to see their dashboard. To update their dashboard, they would select the drop down for the job role education to expand this box. Once the box has been expanded, the required education will be shown. For this individual, they need to complete the ECE short certificate and the ECE initial certificate or equivalent. Because we would have done the work already to determine that we know what our plan is, we would then select the click here button. This will populate this next image where we can now select our pathway. Keep in mind that this can be updated at any time. So let's take a deeper look at what equivalent options are available to meet one's job role education requirement. First up is this pathway an individual must have recorded in merit. This employment requirement must be met by August 1st, 2026. You must be in one of the eligible roles, which include family home licensee, lead teacher, and assistant teacher. Then you must have maintained your health and safety training over the years. Now that we know what the experience option is, let's take a look at how to select this in merit. If an individual is in an eligible role and will have the 7 years of employment in their eligible role by August 1st, 2026, the experience option will be available to select as a pathway option. If you are not in an eligible role or will not meet the timeline, this option will not be available for you to select. In the job role Education dropdown, an individual will select the option, I want to use my experience in training. They will then need to select Save. The second image shows what the dashboard will look like once the option has been selected. The dashboard would turn green to show that the individual is eligible for this option. Licensors will still monitor the health and safety training compliance during their regular monitoring visits. The next pathway includes alternative credentials. This includes other degree and credentials such as Montessori credentials, CDAs, college credit, and PACE. Our equivalent options for education documents highlights all of these options. PACE is the community-based training option and is now available. This option is available for family home licensees, lead teachers, and assistant teachers to meet the equivalent of the initial and short certificates. PACE, also known as Provider Access to a Community Equivalent, is available at no cost to participants. PACE will be available in English and Spanish right away, and we will be adapting into Somali later. PACE consists of childcare basics, enhancing the quality of early learning, or EQUAL for short, and the two parts to PACE to meet the initial certificate equivalent. I do want to call out two pieces of information here. To participate in PACE, somebody must have completed childcare basics. If you have met childcare basics through one of the other alternatives that have education, you will not be eligible for PACE. If someone was hired before August 1st, 2019, and did not have to complete EQUAL for their role based on their hire date, they will still need to complete EQUAL in order to participate and complete PACE. There are two PACE parts to meet the initial certificate equivalent. These include the field of early care and education and supporting child development and wellness. Part 1, the field of ECE, includes 3 modules: reflective teaching, ECE then and now, and the teaching profession. Part 2, supporting child development and wellness, includes 3 modules as well: child development, children and families, and child wellness. PACE Part 1 is now available. PACE Part 2 will be available later this year in 2022. And then PACE Part 3 is for the short certificate is in development, and PACE Part 4, which would finish out the short certificate, will be available in 2024. Throughout PACE, you will participate in job-embedded learning. This includes on-the-job work hours and put it into practice. This has 2 components: trying it out and putting it all together. The job-embedded work happens during the 2 modules, and then at the end, putting it all together. This emphasizes the reflection that happens during application of learning. This expands on the learning cycle that happens. To do this, an individual would attend the training session. Immediately after the training session, participants are able to apply their learning to their program and implement the activity. Participants reflect on the activity: what worked well, what didn't work well. Participants then document their reflection through one of the many options, including video reflection, journaling, and other documentation practices. With their trainer, participants share their reflection. This is to show the trainer that they have met the milestones for this lesson. Each participant will work with their trainer and be able to adapt the job-embedded learning activity for the classroom age group and program type that they work in. For more information about PACE, check out our recorded webinar that was previously recorded. So for this scenario, we are stating that we want to participate in PACE as we update our dashboard. In the job role education dropdown, an individual will select the option, I am interested in PACE, the community-based training. They will then need to select Save. Once an individual has selected this pathway, your dashboard will reflect the second image. The dashboard would then remain yellow until PACE has been completed through the equivalent needed for their role, whether it's the initial or short certificate. Please keep in mind that it's okay that the job role is yellow, as this indicates that the individual is still within their timeline to be working towards meeting their job role education requirement. DCYF continues to develop additional pathways to increase access and to honor the knowledge and skill of our early learning workforce. One of these newer pathways that is currently under development is our micro-credential option. A micro-credential is an approach for demonstrating knowledge, skills, and experience in a competency area. It's comprised of several micro-learning units that build up to a micro-credential. Micro-learning units include activities, assessments, and projects which happen in bite-sized segments that are designed to support busy, working early learning providers. This option will be available next year for those with a verified associate or higher degree in something other than ECE. DCYF is currently conducting a micro-credential pilot, which includes a participant feedback component that will help shape future micro-credential opportunities. More details will be shared in the coming months about how this option and what was learned about through the pilot. For this scenario, we are stating that we have a non-ECE degree. In the job role education dropdown, an individual will select the option, I already have a degree that is not ECE. They will then need to select save. The second image shows what the dashboard will look like once the option has been selected. The dashboard would remain yellow until a micro-credential has been completed. Please keep in mind, again, that it's okay that the job role is yellow, as this indicates the individual is still within their timeline to be working toward meeting their job role education requirement. The third pathway is Ece Specific Education. This includes the Washington State ECE Stackable Certificates and Ece Specific Degrees. The ECE Stackable Certificates build on one another and can lead into an associate's degree in early childhood education and beyond. By design, the stackable certificates are transferable, portable, and recognized within the early learning profession. The stackable certificate begins with the initial certificate. This is 12 credits. The short certificate builds on the initial certificate with an additional 8 credits for a total of 20 credits. Then the state certificate builds on the short certificate with 27 more credits. Depending on the school, the state certificate can be 47 to 52 credits in total. Now that we know what the stackable certificates are, let's look at how to select this in merit. For this scenario, the individual had their initial certificate already recorded. This updates the dashboard to show that the initial certificate has been met, which you can see in the black font. They also mark that they have additional education to submit. The dashboard would remain yellow until the short certificate has been completed and recorded. As I stated before, keep in mind that it's okay that the job role is yellow, as this indicates that the individual is still working within their timeline to be working towards meeting their job role education requirement. Now that we have updated your pathway on your merit dashboard, you have successfully recorded your plan. The next step would be to complete your plan within the timeline. If you choose an educational pathway, you will need to submit a new education application in merit as you progress through your educational journey. We've covered a lot, so let's recap. We can't tell people what their next step is without looking at what you already have. So make sure your education is recorded in merit. This will be the first step. How does your current education and credentials work towards meeting your job role education requirement? It is possible that you have enough ECE or the ECE and school age credits to meet your job role education requirement. Once your education has been recorded in merit, check out your dashboard to see your progress toward meeting your staff qualifications. Remember, you have several options available to meet your job role education. These options are based on the early learning roles and support various levels of progression. Other related degrees, credentials, certificates may build on future career development in ECE and can be a pathway for those who have already completed education or those that are thinking about other career plans. While PACE is a training series, DCYF is working with state colleges that would allow PACE participants to continue their education with the stackable certificates at participating colleges. The experience-based competency will only meet the requirement for WAC and does not support a provider in future career development. PACE and the experience options are not available to meet the ECAP performance standards, nor do they earn you early achievers professional development points. There are many resources available about staff qualifications. If you have not yet checked out our qualifications and role requirements web pages, please do so. Check out all the different programs that we support and the resources available for that. And with that, I want to thank you for joining us for this month, and we will see you at a future webinar.